Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. This past Tuesday, Decoding Bio's third annual AI Bio Summit took place here at the Stock Exchange, bringing together some of the largest leaders across the healthcare industry. And one of those leaders was Dr. Amit Etkin, founder, CEO, and president of NYSE-listed Alto Neuroscience. He spoke with Ashley Bastinardi about how his platform is eliminating the guesswork when it comes to treating patients. Let's take a look.
So right now, when anybody is prescribed a medication, it's done based really just on their symptoms. For example, in depression, feel sad, unmotivated, appetite, sleep disruption, all of these sorts of things. We don't actually ever do a test for what's driving their depression at the level of biology. And so that leaves us with guesswork. And unfortunately, most people don't respond to any given medication. And there's not a lot of variety in our medications as it is, which means that a lot of people just won't respond to anything. So where we are is a lot of cycling between medications in the clinic. What we're trying to do at Alto is do two things at the same time. One is develop brain tests, we call biomarkers, to understand the function or dysfunction in different brain systems, important for depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, that guide response to medication, and then simultaneously develop new medications that target those brain systems more directly. And so this is a precision medicine for the brain approach, which is find the right people, understand their biology, and target that with a new medication that's more effective because it is more targeted.
In the most basic sense, for someone who doesn't really know that much about AI, how is AI, determining all of this? How is it measuring biomarkers? How is it aiding to create this new medication? In the most practical sense, can you describe how it works?
So the use of AI is really as a tool for analyzing data. The data, for example, if I get a brainwave recording or an EEG, electroencephalography test on you, I'm getting a lot of information out of that recording when I do it, and I don't necessarily know what the right signals are that differentiate who responds and who doesn't respond. And that's where we're using AI or machine learning to help us say, of all of that signal, how do we reduce it down to what's most important? That then becomes the basis of a test, identify whether you're likely to respond or not for that drug that we're developing. That's a little bit different from how a lot of people now experience AI, which is a large language model like a ChatGPT. We also use those tools in other ways, but it's a way of, for us, decoding what's going on in the brain so that we can drive development of drugs specifically for those people who would respond better.
Does your platform take a certain level of motivation from the person seeking support? And what is the buy-in for the patient and for the psychiatrist who's prescribing the medication?
So that's a great question. And I'm both a neuroscientist and a psychiatrist, so I understand the reality in the clinic out there, which is because we do no tests. Psychiatrists don't really know how to do or interpret tests often. And you have to think about the burden as you're highlighting for the patient. And so we've actually embedded that into our testing and biomarker approach. For example, an EEG test we think could be done in the home or the office. We're already doing that, as a matter of fact, within minutes. So you do the test, you record for 10 minutes, and you get the result right away. Pretty easy to do. A cognitive test to tell you about how your memory is functioning or your attention. All of that can be done again within minutes on a computer. So we know the ask has to be right-sized for the reality of the clinic today. And yet the data are so rich that you get from that I actually think that is the right sizing, that we can implement in the near term these tests, even in a world which we're hoping to transform that currently doesn't really do tests to select medications.
And is the patient answering questions about themselves? How are you gathering this data?
So we're trying to make our biomarker tests the most objective and direct as possible. So a brainwave recording is just a passive recording of brain activity through sensors or electrodes you put on the head. So they just sit there, eyes open, eyes closed, relaxed, and we read that information out from their brain activity. They could also be doing a test of their memory, for example, giving them lists of words and seeing how many they recall later. All of those things are more objective than asking them about their symptoms, which are how well are you sleeping, what's your appetite like, what's your mood like, that are subjective. And really, those are the limitations of how we operate in the clinic now is entirely subjective. And what we're doing is adding the objective, which is critical because that's the level of biology.
All right, thanks again to Alto Neuroscience founder, CEO and president, Amit Etkin, and Ashley Masternauti for that interview.